Hello. Good.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a nice little. What I've learned today is that you can slide and transition. So I don't know what Declan says is impossible with that. Hopefully, if you're watching, can you hear us? That's the only thing. Last time I produced something, the audio didn't come through. So just let us know. But even if you can't hear us, you can read the subtitles. Yes. Okay, great. Then we're good. We're good to stream the entire time. There's no more buttons I need to press.
No more shenanigans.
No more shenanigans.
Yes.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and welcome to Ben and Louise on a roll. Hi, Louise.
Hello. How are we?
Good. Thanks for coming along. For anyone watching tonight, the reason it is Ben and Louise on a roll as opposed to Ben and Declan on a roll is that this weekend, as in tomorrow, we are going to record the final episodes of Campaign 1 for Romancing the Dungeon. So Declan, who DMs and is the GM of that campaign, is currently planning our demise. So we thought we'd give him a little bit more time to plot devilment and maleficent deeds. And we would instead, as two players in that campaign, talk about what it's like to end a campaign. So that's tonight's topic. I don't know OBS and Twitch enough to know how like prompts and stuff work. I didn't set up MooBot. So prompt, have you ever finished a campaign? That's the prompt. So let us know in chat if you have. And that's kind of it. That's sort of, I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. I don't think we've been given any housekeeping by D8 as an organization. I don't think there's anything we need to announce or otherwise. I suppose, sorry, there's a little bit at the end that if I remember to do, I'll do. That is everything this side of the show done. So, Louise.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. It's not as if we haven't been sitting here just randomly bubbling away for the last 20 minutes.
Do not break kayfabe. They don't know. You've just walked into the studio. You've been in a green room. But yes, we've been chatting.
Not the best snacks now, in fairness.
Yeah, we don't. That's Roz. So Roz doesn't give us the budget for that. It's all empty cigarette butts and that's what Roz eat.
There's just a lot of ashtrays, honestly.
Ashtrays, like
a lot of ashtrays.
Stuffed, like anchovy stuffed olives. Sound like a thing that
probably,
Roz
and pistachio shells kind of thing.
Probably yes.
I imagine her eating pistachios, and flicking them up. Yeah.
Maybe just like oysters that she just like, but like eating oysters like pistachios is a Roz great for special.
I see where you're going. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Sorry to anyone who likes oysters, but
no, I don't think I've ever had an oyster or a mussel or potentially even shellfish in my life.
I've had a little bit of shellfish, but I've never been a fan personally.
Yeah, I don't. Being vegan, like I now never will. So that's the. But back when I wasn't a vegan, I did love myself some calamari. That's probably the.
Oh no.
So good.
No.
Yeah, it's great. Just like who doesn't like you're chewing on some rubbery Lego.
Yeah, not me.
Yeah. We're not here to talk about all the wonderful flavors of the sea, but we are here to talk about the end of season 3. And in a way, going all the way back to season 1 of Romancing the Dungeon, which is what I like to call BC, before Clifford. So those times in the show before I was involved. But when did you guys start?
So I went and checked. So we released our first episodes of Romancing the Dungeon at the end of January 2020, which turned out to be horrible timing. But we started recording in October 2019 was when we started.
Right.
And it was like the setup we have now. We have the spare room in Declan's house where we have a table with a proper setup and sounding and stuff like that. Whereas right at the start, it was we were in the living room, crouching around a coffee table and sharing mics. It was basic bare bones. Let's just go for it, kind of.
I can. Did it look something like this?
Yeah, let's see.
Ta-da!
That's it. And you can really tell how long ago it was, by the way. That's the back of my head on the left, and how short my hair was. And yeah, I think Amber and like Dee at the time were sitting over to the left hand side of me, but Dee and I shared a mic, and then I think Amber and Sam then shared the one that was in front of them as well, and Declan had his own. So it was 3 mics between 5 people. It was, yeah.
Wow. And Declan looks as happy to be there as always.
As he always does. Yeah, that look hasn't changed on his face at all.
Good to know that the shenanigans around the table has kept Declan on his toes.
Yes.
Coming up to, like if it was October 2019, that means exactly 6 years later, October 2025 is when
we're finishing
it.
That's actually like, I didn't put that together, but that's kind of, crazy. So that's 6 years altogether, with a little break for COVID, because we didn't want to be recording online, so there was kind of a pause because we had nothing left to release until we got back around the table together again, which was great.
Yes, fair. That was something we didn't do, because myself and Homebrew, I think we were only a year ahead. I think we started 2019 like in like February or something, but it was a similar situation where we started recording, or we started kind of, because we were live stream, we started kind of doing test runs in like September, October, November 2018. But then when COVID hit and the pandemic came around, we did a couple like one shots until we realized it wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, and then finished the campaign out online, which I'm glad. It came with a lot of technical difficulties, so I think Romancing made the right decision to hold off. But I'm glad we finished it out in line, because based on our current record, we still wouldn't be finished. We haven't come out with anything since. We have recorded things. We are editing together. We keep running into classic tech issues. So we sat down and recorded a couple of weeks ago with video and sound.
Very excited. Can't wait to see it.
We lost the video part. So the first couple episodes might just be a podcast, and then we'll go back. We just ran into, not that we lost it, it's just very choppy. And one of the things, like, our approach is we're going to hold off until like quality and production is where we want it to be. So we, instead of rushing back into things. So that's, hopefully that comes out soon. But that's the closest I've gotten to finishing a campaign before. So it's nice now, shortly afterwards, to be looking at Romancing the Dungeon. And it's weird, because for me, I feel like I'm not really finished. Like, it's such a strange thing. I still feel like the new person at the table in a way, even though I've been there for years.
Yes.
But I'm not like finishing out a campaign, because it's kind of halfway through season 2. I'm like finishing like half a campaign.
And it was a character idea that was like, as great as you've made AJ. He was a character idea that was initially created by Declan that you kind of took on.
As like seemingly as a guest, and then stayed on.
Yes.
Just never left. I'm going to sweep us back to our usual nice full screen. I don't know OBS, but I do know how to make little stingers, and they're a lot of fun. So if any show out there wants these little stingers, I'd happily make them. Am I right in thinking that AJ was also, you're partly responsible for AJ's creation, in the sense of like it was a kind of a conversation between yourself and Declan?
Yeah, it was. It was partially to do with the fact that, not in a bad way, because I flirt with all my friends, but I always found it a little bit more difficult to flirt with Declan when it came to games and stuff like that. Like all my friends are hot, it's easy, but it was a little bit harder to flirt with Declan. So that's where this idea of having someone to come in as a guest player to possibly be a character of interest for Fia. If it worked out, I mean, again, it's still playing something at the table. You don't know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's true.
When characters interact with each other, because they do at the end of the day have their own personalities and stuff like that you're playing. So
it's an interesting one, because I feel like as like someone who didn't know you guys when I started to come down, and Eka, who was some of my closest friends, it's such a warm table to do that at, but it's not always going to work. So it's kind of interesting coming down mid-season to, and like kind of didn't even feel, it kind of felt late season. It kind of felt like this was kind of coming towards the end of season 2.
It was, yeah. And that as well, with someone coming down who we hadn't, like, we met each other online, but it was the first time we were meeting in person and stuff as well. So like the genuine like nervousness that you hear in Fia talking to AJ in those episodes is Louise's genuine nervousness, basically like pretending to be interested in a stranger, because
Mhm.
you were at that stage, you know, like, and it did
Totally.
get easier over time, but that
Yeah.
was naturally, that was there.
I think it helped because it was that sort of like, and both the characters are kind of timid in a
Mm.
lot of ways. Like AJ has bravado for sure, but like that's him like putting on a mask. Like he's still like day-to-day interactions are quite timid. And I think it helped with that like almost instant connection because we talked about it. We
Mm.
could, I know that we're technically talking about endings, but it sort of comes to mind.
Well, you have to talk about beginnings to understand the endings, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we'd had a little bit of a side discussion of like knowing that there was an intent to sort of like introduce a love interest for Fia, and knowing that it was kind of like a table, like a player decision, myself, yourself, and Declan to be like, okay, let's see, like let's try play this out. No different to when you turn around to your DM and say, I wouldn't mind an interaction like this or that. Like you don't know if it's going to work, but we had conversations early doors about like not making it seem too forced or too rushed
Yes.
or too like too just done because us as the players decided it. And I think we're quite similar at the table in which like mentally, as much as AJ shares a lot of my traits, I think of him as a separate person. So like part of me goes, well, I don't want to make that decision for him. Which is a
Yes.
crazy thing to say because it's like,
No,
like
no,
I get to.
it's very true, like, because to tie into endings and stuff like that, and like, not to give spoilers away, but it is tense. It has been tense for a long time, and I think you can kind of see it and how it's built in the episodes that have come out so far if you've been listening.
Mm-hmm.
And it continues, and it gets even more so. That where was I going?
Choices for, we were talking about choices that you'd make as a player for your characters versus
Yeah.
them making them, yeah, they're making
Thank
choices
you.
themselves.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, because it was even like, there is also that over the table discussion then outside of this, you know, about where we want to take our characters, like what like give me an indication of what you're thinking of doing next time and stuff like that. Because as much as it is playing a game and rolling dice, we're also like, we do have to kind of give each other a little bit of prep for like, this is the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what's going to happen in the picture, but this is the frame of where we're going. And it was the first time in the longest time that I was like, I don't know. I really, really don't know. I don't have any indication of what I'm going to do when I sit down at the table. And the last time we recorded, that was because I think I'd messaged you about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was very, like, I said to Ben, I was like, I don't know what to do. I like, this is legit where I'm like scared shitless, like, because I care about my character. I care about our characters.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, just literally felt like I was like, I don't know what to do. So it is yeah.
I think like sometimes on the show we give like advice or talk about like tips and tools we use, but I think for this it might be if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I'm coming up to a campaign finale, I'm a player, I'm a GM, or I'm you know, I'm at the table and I want to learn how best to handle it. It might be useful to know without any like advice or direction what we have done, and then I'm sure we can get some of the rest of the cast on after the fact to talk about whether that decision or whether those actions led to actually a beneficial ending. And with that in mind, obviously we've been playing for a long enough time. There's, you know, hundreds of episodes leading up to these kind of final climactic moments. But all we've really done going into tomorrow and the weekend is have a chat with Declan about where we see our characters maybe going if everything goes to plan. Like this, what our kind of ideal happy endings might be. Not that, no guarantee that we'll get them, but like,
yes,
this is where our heads are at. And that's sort of it. That's kind of, there's been no, well, I need to tie off, like, I got to get the gem and put it in the crown, and I got to get the crown to the temple, and I got to get the temple on the, you know, there's none of those like threads that, at least for us as players around the table, we're going, well, we really want to know or make sure that we like defeated that organization that was hampering us like 40 episodes ago.
it was
like,
kind of good to have that conversation in a way, because like, not that it's like it's a guiding light, it's not an end point, it is a guiding light for, say, like, to remind us of like, hey, this is what we're aiming for. Because sometimes, like, especially when we play so long between recordings and stuff, is like, hey, we just need a little Like, here's the tracks you were on. Where do you want to take it?
Yes.
You're probably not going to get there, but where would you like to take it?
Yes.
To just kind of get yourself in the frame of mind for it, really, isn't it?
For me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, this weekend is an ultimate test of trust. And I don't mean that in a kind of like a heavy way.
No.
But I mean like we've put the mask, and I'm going to use like a painting a wall analogy. We put the masking tape around the plug sockets. We've covered off the things. We've put down the dust sheets. We've done everything. And now we're just going to trust that our prep, just let it happen, will lead to a nice picture at the end. And everyone as a player is prepped, but myself and yourself, I think we're both going into the weekend with kind of hands up and going, let's see where it takes us. Like, because
Yes.
I don't know. Not only do I not know what to expect, I don't know what I want, because I'm so far removed from going right back to that beginning, that very first session. I came down. I'm like, here's AJ, here's how you play him, here's what I'm going to do. Like, and from that day onwards, Ben and AJ have sort of like kind of gone, so that AJ becomes his own person in a way, with his own ideals and wants and wishes. Now, like, hasn't been that far. It's like slightly further.
It's like,
yeah, they're there, but I don't feel the agency. I think this is one of those classic campaign finale situations. I don't feel agency over AJ anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and maybe it's preparing for like, I now have to let this character go too, because I think when you first have, it's like, I'm going to protect them, but now you're kind of like, I think I'm taking the training wheels off and let the character protect themselves.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think the last time we recorded, I was more upset about letting Fia go than I am about this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this weekend I'm just it is that case of like, we've done everything we could possibly do. We're still going to go in and try, and like, but also the cards are going to fall where they're going to fall.
Yeah.
And I think, like before, I think that not that the protectiveness has gone over her, like she's an imaginary character, whatever, but you do, like, it's your character, you get protectiveness over them, but it's like letting the chick out of the nest in a way, but it's like, this is just, there is that release and letting go, for sure.
Like, not to, that's no indication that it won't be an absolute sob fest, because like, still
I'll bawl my eyes out.
Yeah, I think we're going through that, like the stages of grief. We'll be like, no. We'll go through denial, being like, it's not over. Then we'll go through anger. It's like, how could it possibly be over? So we'll go through all of that, I think, at different times as players around the table. And I think all of us are in a slightly different space. That having a sort of session 0 for the finale earlier this week was a really useful thing to kind of bring us closer to the same page. And a good example of like session 0s aren't just for, before the campaign starts. You can have them before like certain elements or certain heavier scenes, or whatever you need. You can kind of drop in a sort of catch up and check in.
Like Declan and I did that a lot for the feed episodes where I was alone, because it was that thing. It was like, before, when we would do episodes and stuff together, like I know you and I would be chatting afterwards, like found it, how it went and stuff like that. Were we happy with it and all that kind of thing? I didn't have that when I was alone.
Yeah.
So it was important for that. Yeah, absolutely. Like have session 0s, as it were.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to do in those situations. Is there? I'm trying to think. We're all roughly around level 14, 15. It's not like a big average level 20, like big super powered ending. And I think purposely so, because as a show and as a cast and as a group of people, like, our characters' developments is somewhat separated from the character sheet that defines them with their skills and their, it's emotionally and story wise, I feel like we're all level 20 in the kind of in how we've come sort of full circle, or how the characters are developed. And for you with Fia, right back at like episode 1 to without knowing what's going to happen, and also not to give any any spoilers for because we've obviously recorded episodes in between what's live out in the public now and
Yeah.
you know where this is. Are there anything like, how do you feel about the arc, and how do you feel, you know, what's changed, what hasn't changed? How has the story impacted Fia, do you think?
I think, like, we kind of touched on it Monday, I think massively for her, you know, based on what I won't say what my ideal outcome was, but based off of what one of my ideal outcomes were that I voiced with everyone else, that what she has been through has impacted her massively, like huge. Like it's for Fia, the rose tinted glasses were taken off about everything, about her family, her brother, her mother, the situation that she's been in now with the Fae like cabaret. Like it's just this constant like pulling off of these rose tinted glasses. And it's been like, because I've wanted to keep her so not jaded, but it's hard for her to not be jaded sometimes, because like that's only a human thing, that like, you know, when certain situations or people let you down, that you do, it's no surprise that you might become jaded about it. So it has affected her a lot and changed her a lot. And then there's also the side of it as a player is like, you know, like, am I pushing it too hard to keep her chirpy and cheery as well? I went through all of that in my head as well. But I think it was only fair to keep her. She does have amazing belief in herself and belief in love. And I was like, as much as that might have been pushed and pulled and ripped apart and thrown back together, I think that's the one thing that's kept her sane, that she's held on to that one ideal thing, especially being alone. That's the one thing she's held, even though aspects of that have fallen apart and away from her.
Right. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like, yeah, it's the same, you know, same core but different shades and different views into it. But the central kind of thread, or like central DNA there, and that's going to shift and mutate. But it's you know, it's never going to be a total 180.
Yes.
Nor should it be, in a way. Like, I'm trying to think, and I don't know if Amber is watching tonight, but I know they might enjoy this reference. Like, when I was watching Supernatural, the thing I kept getting annoyed about is like, they'd go through this character growth in a season, and then like next season starts and they're still the fucking same idiots they were like 2 seasons. And you're like, have you not grown? Like,
yeah.
Okay, I finally got my anger issues like under control. And then like episode 1 season next, they're like, I fucking hate this. And you're like, okay, right. So like, why do you keep her burning? And my partner said something very nice, like something very understanding, is like, people change in small ways, and they never change like all that much anyway. Like there's sort of default behavior that you fall back on it in times of like stress or in times of uncertainty, that it's like that's your baseline, and you can grow from there and like shift the baseline, but it takes a while, and it takes repeated experiences to totally move that. And for someone like Fia, her recency has begun to move her baseline, but you know, there's a world in which it kind of resets back to where it was, or kind of shifts slightly, or it's like a pendulum. It's gonna slow back to somewhere near the middle, maybe slightly askewed. So I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel like anyone at the end of any campaign needs to be like, and now they're a totally different person. They just have to kind of come back around, somewhat changed by their experience.
Absolutely. And I was just trying to get that balance right, especially for something that we put out as well, you know. Just want to make sure that it is interesting, and it's not like, well, she's kind of just being the same.
I mean, like, AJ.
It's such a hard balance, but like, I suppose what would you say, like, similarly for AJ, like, since you started versus now?
I think, and this is no like shade to me, but like, I think I came in with, here are the 5 references that when combined sort of make something that feels like a 3D person. And I was like, he's a little bit Picard, he's a little bit Ted Lasso, he's a little bit like, you know, all these different references that I had. Like, he's a little bit Evan Hansen. Like, there was enough in there. There was like, here's where he is. And I think the difference between where he was there and now is that all of that like facade has sort of crumbled away, and all that kind of like, me as a player, I'm not using those like references or those characters as a crutch anymore to be like, oh, what's he going to do in this situation? It's like, well, what one of the kind of like 3 loose personas can I pull upon? And so on a very like meta level, because that has crumbled, it feels like his character has grown because he's slowly changed into like being his own person, which is a nice metaphor for like him and his life as well, because like he was a soldier. He was like, you know, his life was his work basically, and
it was regimented and routine and stuff.
Yeah, and he was great at it. Like he enjoyed it. He was, you know, he was one of the best students in his class. He did everything. He was like a perfect golden boy, but all for other people. And I think that's where there's some parallels between AJ and Fia, that it's like the reasons to be happy and friendly and charming before were, oh, so my job's easier, so people trust me and so this kind of stuff. Now it's like, oh, because I want to be this way. Like there's that weird psychological or like philosophical question of like, does the intent behind good behavior matter if it's still good behavior at the end of the day? And AJ is a good study of that. It's like his intent before was just to get by, and just because it's a nice thing to do, and it's all like so other people benefit. And like hanging out with someone like Hephaestus is really good to shake that out of you, I think. Like, so having Amber at the table has been really nice because she's pushed. I think she can see a character and push a character into interesting choices.
I always love AJ and Hephaestus interactions. They're so brief sometimes.
Yeah.
But they're just so beautiful when I hear them. They're really, really like, I really locked in when I hear them, when like, especially when we've been separated. I'm like, oh, that's a really good little moment.
There's a fun like something at odds that also makes sense, that they're kind of friends in a way.
Yes.
And I don't know, like Ben as a person doesn't know why Hephaestus is friends with AJ. AJ as a character doesn't think about it. Like, he's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. He's just like, why wouldn't they be friends? Like that would be in that.
Of course they are. They hang out together. They're together all the time. We're friends. Yeah.
We chat, we have fun, and like, you know, it's a natural thing to do. And it's one of those ones that like, I suppose this is a good question, and maybe doesn't apply to yourself because you've been at the table since like before session 1. But are there any characters, or are there any NPCs, or any moments you wish you had more of? And for context, what I was going to say there is, I kind of wish AJ and Nate hung out more, or AJ and Ivan hung out more, but it tended to be when we were recording that he gravitated towards Hephaestus because they shared a goal, find Fia. So is there anything for you where you're like, oh man, I would love more time here, or I kind of wish I developed this relationship with Fia and someone else in a different way?
I think purely as like, as I am a fan of our show and stuff like that. I think my favorite, I would have loved to see more interactions, like AJ and Fia's first kind of real conversation in the woods that time after leaving the Gregs, where it's just awkward, geeky, weird. I like that moment is probably one of my favorite moments to kind of listen back to. Because it just, like we were talking about with the nerves and stuff earlier for being around the table, but it was just so pure. and it was just so real, and I love that. I think as well, I love moments where Nate and Hephaestus get into it with each other, because then you really see the exes relationship and stuff. I think the two of them, when they bounce off each other at the table, is phenomenal. It's really, really good. Like, it's just so good. There is something coming out in one of the future episodes. I know we're trying not to spoil it, but there is a really intense like RP moment between Sam and Amber that I can't wait for people to hear, because like I was just sitting there and I was like, this is like watching like the best game of my life. This is just so good. I'm so like I love being at the table to be able to like witness these people do this. Like, it's phenomenal.
You bring up a great point around like character relationships, and when you go into a game being exes, it allows you to go from like 0 to furious faster.
Yeah,
because you're just like there's a shortcut there of familiarity, and it's like, you know, it's that classic case of like, you'll be kind to, you'll say something to your family or your friends that you would never say to a stranger. You would never say to anyone else. It can be that level of like closeness that can lead to, you know, cutting anger. And I think it's sort of been the, you know, a running theme throughout the entire campaign has been how close love is to anger, and how easy that line can be crossed, and how, you know, love makes you feel the highest of highs but also the lowest of lows, and it sort of positions the question not in a main, like, this, it's not the thesis of the show, but it's like, is the world better off without love?
It does, yeah. And it's like, it's even from an RP point, it's a really good thing to, I don't know, like, I'd say this has been mentioned many times before, but when we first started recording, we didn't know each other. Back in 2019, we didn't. Like, Declan knew Amber, and he knew me. We didn't know each other, and Sam was brought in by Dee at the time, and none of us knew Sam. And they had this as like how you were brought in. It was like, oh yeah, brought in as a potential interest for Fia. Like, Sam and Amber were like, yeah, you're exes and you've never met. And like, let's just see what happens. And they ran with it, which was really cool. But the show, you're right, the show itself has been a really good encapsulation of, like, well, do we really need love? Like, it's been a really good question that's been posed throughout all of the seasons. It's always been there simmering in the background. It's never been in your face. And all different varieties of it that we've seen over the past 3 seasons as well. You know, like sibling, adoptive mother love, like with, you know, with Nate and Marilla. Sibling again, like with Hephaestus and Sekhmet and Fia and Quillo, and like, you know, like there's been so many different variations of it, and it does make you question, like, is this really worth it? Yeah.
And I think that's one of those ones where maybe we'll say it to the rest of the gang when we're together tomorrow, but it's almost like this conversation has solidified something I think I'll go into the weekend with, which is asking myself, is love worth fighting for? And my answer for that will shape how AJ is. And then the following that is, if so, are you willing to die for it?
Yes.
And I think that's the only character prep I'll do. I'll just ask myself, like, from AJ's perspective, is love worth dying for? Or like, is the world better off without love? Is it worth dying for? Is it all this kind of stuff? And I, you know, it's going to shape my playlist driving down, I'm sure. Because there's plenty of source material that would say that answer that question both ways.
Absolutely.
So that would be an interesting, you know, outside of story. That's the big kind of campaign. Like, what would you? Because it's not like I keep trying to come back to thesis, and I don't think it's a thesis, because I also don't want to put words in Declan's mouth, like Declan being the DM and GM is like their statement.
I get it. Yeah, I think it's one of them. I don't think it's the only thing.
Yes,
but I think it's the one that right now where we are, and looking back, and because we've been having a retrospective talk here, that it's like, this is one that right now I can see is there. There is plenty of others. There is, but right now, based off the conversations we're having, this is the one that's kind of like, hey, give me attention. We do.
yeah, for sure. Trying to think when it comes to finales. This isn't your first end of a campaign.
No,
am I right?
It's not. Yeah.
What was the, like? I don't think I know much about the other campaign. And am I right in assuming it was probably the GURPS one you guys were playing in university?
In uni. So I was. That's what, 19 years ago.
Yeah, it's like 3.
It went on for a year. There was at least 8 of us around the table, players, at least. I don't know how he managed it. I don't know how Declan did it. We met once a week, and we play for like 3-4 hours in, like, our friends' rented house in the sitting room. We'd all be sitting on a really old, dusty carpet. But it was really, really good. And I remember it was really emotional at the end, because like, when we weren't, like, not podcast wise, but Declan had a soundtrack that he'd be playing in the background, and a lot of different songs trigger different emotions. Like, there's still part of the Final Fantasy X soundtrack I can't listen to without getting triggered, being like, oh, we're fucked because a god is coming down. Like, he had different songs to like indicate when a god was here. And we're like, fuck. Or like if someone had died or something really bad had happened, it was like something from the Gladiator soundtrack. I can't remember which one it was. That would play. I remember very distinctly the last game, because he was going around giving these beautiful, beautiful epilogues for everybody, except my character. He forgot about my character, but he did go back afterwards and made one. But I think it was just wrapped up in the like we were all bawling our eyes out around the table. And it was like my first time ever playing a TTRPG as well, and I was like, oh my god, what journey have I been on this past year? This is insane. I just couldn't believe these emotions that were coming out of me. Like, it was crazy.
It is a strange feeling. It's almost like he's like, oh my god, what did I just experience there?
Absolutely. And there's something kind of addictive in it as well. Like, it's so much fun to sit around with a group of people who have the same quest as you.
Yeah.
And to be doing it together, you know, like video games are fun, but like being at a tabletop with your friends, like how it also like shapes your relationships as well. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. It's gonna be an emotionally draining episode, not because I mean draining in a negative sense. It's just like the genuine joy we will feel mixed in with the general, like if we can imagine that like there's only so much serotonin and dopamine that people can have in their bodies, I think we're going to run through it. We're going to burn through it in the weekend. And the crash will be like the post campaign blues will hit hard. So I think one of the things that's important for us as a group is to, you know, check in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like keep that there. Because, you know, campaign 2 is, you know, there's whispers of it. We've sort of begun to talk about it, and we've loosely plotted out when it will be. And Declan, they're making their plans as well. So like, that naturally puts a time in which we should all get into each other's company again. But I think between this, the immediate staying in contact. Now we're going to do like a little bit of a wrap, but I think there's also talk of doing like a proper party for it and like a genuine celebration, whether it's like booking a space out and inviting kind of friends to the show and all that kind of stuff. Doing something that kind of marks it as an occasion.
Yeah. It is, because it's been a long period of our life. Like I know 6 years for me. I can't remember when years wise you came in, but it feels like you've been here for 6 years.
Yeah, I actually can't remember. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I came like last year.
It's like middle of season 2. Let me look up dates for when we released the episode.
I think it's 2023. If not 20, because I was still doing Homebrew.
You were still doing Homebrew, yeah.
And Homebrew, I think, finished in 2024. I think I came down like November 2023.
The Hills Have Ice. You were there for Nice Fest, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there for Nice Fest.
So December 22.
22. Oh, 22. So then I would have come down then I came down in like August, September 2022.
Yeah.
No, I think I came down earlier because I just remember it took ages. Like
it took ages for those episodes to come out. Yeah, because we were being really good. Like we got back to it again, but we're really good at banking episodes.
Yes. Yeah, I think it must have been then like March or something. I just finished Homebrew. No.
The first episode I think that we were released was January 23. So that's 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Alice knows. Hey Alice, do you know when you picked me up in Blatcherstown Shopping Centre and brought me down for the first time?
Was it it was like summer 22, wasn't it?
It must have been summer 22.
Yeah.
And then I continue. We followed through to Homebrew towards the start of 23. And then I think, maybe I can't remember if I was finished, but it would have been, because I remember saying to the guys that I was going down and doing like a little guest spot. And then
that turned into us just basically robbing you.
Well, like I can do two things. It's just like it's a different setup in the sense that like adding video is an extra beast. If Homebrew wanted to be audio only, I think we would have would have done another campaign, or would have done like a mini series there somewhere.
Did Declan tell you about what we said after the first time you were with us?
I've heard rumors, I think.
So when you and Eilish left, we were like, "Can he stay?"
I do remember,
like literally after the first one, we were so nervous when you were coming in, because we were like, "Oh, I hope this works. I hope this works." And then it was like, actually, can we just like ask him to stay permanently?
It was funny because the day or two later, I think I left a voice note to Declan, or Declan left a voice note to me, and it had that vibe of like, am I kind of crazy? Is there something here? Like, there was that real kind of like sussing at each other's vibes and trying to play it cool at the same time. It's like, I'd kind of be around for like maybe a movie, or like maybe dinner like in a couple of days, if you are.
Yeah.
So there was that kind of energy to
it was,
but about like playing D&D around the table. Because you don't want to, we hadn't finished recording either. Like, it was that thing of being like, I was definitely still coming back down for other episodes to like complete that mini arc. But also I wonder what the show would have been like if I'd been like, no, I'm kind of done, and like that's the end of AJ. Like, so much of like, obviously AJ's stories, like without me there, it's like there is no AJ story, but like for Fia, it's interesting to wonder, like,
I can't even imagine it now, to be like, if I really have to think about it, I'd say it probably I'd say, I don't know. I couldn't really imagine where the story would have gone without AJ there.
Yeah, I'm sure Declan had plans.
I'm sure he did, but yeah, no, coming to my my head, no, I can't, like, now retrospectively, I can't imagine AJ not being there.
It seems like it kind of fit into the story. Declan in chat is saying that I sent him a 6-minute voice note as he went into the cinema, and he spent the entire movie panicking, because I think in Declan's head it was me being like, yeah, like, I'm not into this, like, this is not good, thanks but no thanks, and like, we'll do something a different time, but like, what a bunch of weirdos. Whereas instead it was me being like, I'm a weirdo, let me in.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'll just give your answer as well. August 27, 2022.
Wow, so
3 years.
It doesn't feel like 3 years.
No, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. And it's also for like tomorrow, it's either tonight or tomorrow that campaign 4 for Critical Role comes out. And like, they're like, that's 4 campaigns. Speaking of like campaign endings and campaign startings, like,
I think they were still in the midst of campaign 2 when we started Romancing the Dungeon.
I think they've just hit their 15-year or 10-year anniversary or something.
10-year, yeah.
10 years. So like, to think for them it was 2015, and that led to, in my mind, a burst of actual plays around 2015, 16, 17, 18. And even the ones that are like, you feel like, well, they've been around forever, like, are kind of around the same age as us.
Like, they are, when you actually think about it, the ones that have been around as long, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah. And some of my favorite actual plays I listen to are younger, and it doesn't make sense in my head, and I'm like, what? Oh, I guess so. But you do start to see it in, like, myself and Declan, as we're saying, are going to go over to Dragon Meet at the end of November in London. But it always surprises me when people come up to us or like bump into us and go, I know you from something, and I know you, I think, from Romancing the Dungeon, or I know you from this other thing, and you forget that, like, there's a little bit of when you're recording the thing, you kind of forget about the impact it has on the world at large. And we've got pretty good listenerships that it ripples out across, like, Europe, a little bit of Australia, and a little bit of the US. And I heard a story, I can't remember what show it was, but there was some show that they just didn't realize. I think it might have been like a Game of Thrones or something like that, or maybe it was like It's Always Sunny. But you're filming it, you're in it, and it's not until like you kind of like get out of production and go into the real world that you're like, oh fuck, this thing has legs, this thing's big. Like, and it kind of feels that way with Romancing, because it, people do clock what we're doing, and I always forget it. I'm always like, oh yeah, that the impact of hanging out with my friends and playing a game is a product. Like,
it's a product, that people are people are actually listening to this. I'm just having fun, dude.
Maybe we should be more aware of the audience. No, I think it's a charm. It's part of our
it's part of the charm.
Yeah, exactly that.
What has been, like, I suppose, What's been your favorite moment recorded since you've joined?
I don't. There's been so like, not that there's been so many, because there has been so many, but I'm trying to think of ones that I'm like, oh, that was good. I quite like the Via AJ fight in the Temple of Accolade. I think that was just a fun, stupid little moment that was quite nice, and it sort of showed them off, and it showed an aspect of their like potential relationship that we like. Up until then, they've been sort of like shy and nervous and a little bit kind of like geeky around each other, and then their shared love of like archery kind of brought out a little bit of their both competitive sides, which you could kind of see the shape of their relationship. And I don't know if this is, you know, in my head, I don't even think this is headcanon, but they feel like the couple who turn up for board game night and being like, we're fucking winning.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's definitely just me in real life. Like,
whereas I'm like, I don't mind if we win or lose, but I love to win, but I don't really mind. So that's been one.
Fucking
and then
win.
There's been myself and Declan did some solo-y bits. And I'm excited for them to come out because, like, AJ's not comic relief, but he's not the most serious character in the world either. And so he doesn't get a lot of like emotional moments. And I know Declan was trying to pull it out a little bit in season 2. And I don't know if I was ready as a player, but we did some nice stuff together. Just the two of us that I just hope translates into audio really well. And like hope gives a side to the character that I hadn't really got to express before. And a little bit of a, these, you know, little moments, now he makes sense. I'm hoping that I got across. It's like, there's his button. So you obviously haven't heard it, I don't think.
No, I haven't yet.
Neither has Sam Amber Eilish, no one else has. So I'm excited for that to come out when it comes out. Which
I still haven't heard any of the, I don't hear any of the guys' episodes until they're released.
And I know we're talking now because we're recording tomorrow and the weekend, but like when all of it, like this episode, we might as well rerun this Ben and Declan / Ben and Louise on a Roll episode in like a year's time, because that's when the audience will be like caught up in a way. Because I think we do have about, like, if not a year, like close to like 6 to 8 months of content. So we'll have potentially
definitely until March, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then there's the sort of side story, like, you know, a Romancing the Dungeon special or Romancing the Dungeon story that I think will fit in. But I think you're right. I think it's March. And then if we keep our usual record of how much we record up, there's probably 4 or 5 episodes. So add another month and a half, basically 10 weeks. So close to 3 months.
Could be. We did Declan and I did the math there when we were working out editing schedules, and I can't remember. I didn't write it down.
Right.
But
yeah,
that's where we're thinking of, like, that's how far ahead we are in terms of what's yet to be released and stuff like that. Which I am very excited for everyone to hear. Especially now, like some of the story that's coming out now next week, that's focused more on the Grove and Oisin and everyone there. I've kind of started listening to the draft. I've listened to half it, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Yeah. So very excited for everyone to kind of hear that and what's going on. Because again, that's something else I haven't, like, oh, this is the first time I'm hearing this. Oh, this is really interesting. Because it ties back into our story, but from another perspective. Like the perspective, I think the perspective of the Grove is like kind of like one of my favorite spin-offs of all of the spin-offs. Like what happens there is so interesting to me. And then I think there's also one for Clodagh as well, isn't there? Which I cannot wait. Yes. I have heard rumblings of what kind of happened, and I can't wait to actually hear it.
Yeah.
And then I think the plan then is after those is to go back.
It's supposed to be ahead
because what's happening in those is so monumental to the story itself.
Part of me suspects that we didn't follow the A plot. And
no.
Like, well, fuck. I'm gonna make sure that this gets out. I'm like, there's a story here that isn't just you guys being all thirsty little freaks. So like, I have to create a thing and a way for like this to come out. So it's nice
called
because
romancing the dungeon. We have to be thirsty little freaks.
and like every time it says not those kind of adult themes, I'm like, then what am I playing for?
Oh yeah, I know. It's not. Yes, Declan, correct me. Clodus is the main campaign, but it's like say like Clodagh alone episodes, like the Fia alone episodes. Sorry, yeah, correction there on that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's going to be all. It's very from an audience perspective, the experience you get from seeing these different stories and different perspectives makes it an incredibly rich world. And it reminds me, I think I might have said this to Declan, but if I haven't, he's going to tell me to shut up. But it reminds me of like an epic fantasy book where you kind of jump from, okay, here's this part of the world. And then just when that begins to like have a climactic moment, it's like over here, this is so collectively
over here, this
the
is
momentum
happening
is
at the
just
same
building
time.
into one pin. And that pin's this weekend. That's crazy.
It's crazy. And I think it helps us as players in a way as well, not knowing what's happened.
Yes.
It's kind of perfect timing for us to be doing the finale when these other pieces have not been released yet for even us to hear. So it can't influence us anyway as players, which is great.
Yes.
And our decisions. So no, it's very exciting.
I think like in a non-serious way, it bothers Declan a little bit where he's like, you guys know this. I'm like, if you don't tell it to AJ, I don't know. And also if you tell it to AJ, he doesn't know. He can't read. Like, it's not...
my notes are so bad. They're so like, I do write notes, but they're so shorthand that when I go back to read them, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Mine are usually doodles or like, ha, funny person. And then I'm like, what was that?
What was that for?
Or me, because I have whatever it is, compulsion to do whatever. Just writing down stupid jokes that I don't get to say. I'll be like,
speaking of, I have one here that you gave me last time. I need to show everyone. Hang on, where is it?
Oh no, what did I do?
It was really funny because it was a really emotional recording.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And we were quite upset and everything like that, like, because for what happened. And then Ben presented me with this, which is, it's really cute. It's a tiny little envelope, like really, really sweet. Mm-hmm. And then I got this lovely message. Nice. For any of you who can't read that, it says, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff Ben does get up to at the table.
It's not even in the edit. Like, it's not, it adds nothing to the show.
Nothing, no.
I'm like, maybe I'll just pass this over.
But it made me like guffaw laugh when I read it.
Yeah. I still have that. That's you can get those little notes in the Post Museum in London, which myself and Eilish went to, and I thought this is perfect for mayhem. But yeah, little notes just say go fuck yourself. And I didn't. I mean, AJ signed that, so I don't. That's the. Yeah, I like. That's the type of D&D I like playing, but I'm also aware that I should be more aware there's a show. So maybe this weekend. I've tried to make a solemn promise to myself to be a good player at the table.
You're always a good player.
I'm a stubborn, cranky little bitch.
I know that too, but you're still a good player.
Right. To bring some stuff out. And I can't, I'm like a dog with a bone when it comes to a bit. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to, hopefully by campaign 2, I'll be like, right, I've learned discipline. That's what I don't have at the table. I don't have discipline.
Compared to say like campaign 1 now, where you've been kind of given like the outline of a character, are you looking forward to having the reins kind of off? Not in a bad way, but having the reins kind of off and like creating your character from scratch for 2?
I think so, but also I'm kind of like, there was something nice about being like, here's your character, go make them your own. So I didn't have to make any sort of choices. Whereas now I'm like, anything's possible. I could kind of be anything I want. I think I have a nice character that still gives me a little bit of like performative wiggle room because I find it slightly boring. Like sometimes I find AJ slightly boring. One of my greatest shames for this campaign is that my favorite Roz answer that I've ever given as AJ is Lost to the Wind. It was when we were all up in Dublin recording in Trinity, and I broke, like, it's one of those ones that Roz answers, you don't want to run the same joke twice, but I broke the fourth wall and I like just made fun of AJ and I was like, what the fuck do you think? Like, he's gonna say some perfect little answer. He's like, and I just like razzed on him for about a minute or two. And I went, okay, back in character. It's like, oh, I think I'll have a swell day. And it was a nice little moment that has just lost the wind. So I'm sorry that never came out, because it showed, I think for the audience, it showed a little bit of like, oh, Ben's like not fond of AJ at times, like, which is true. I'm like, this fucking Boy Scout. I'm like, you sort of feel a little bit shackled to be like, oh, like not in the, like, it's what my character will do, but it's like, AJ wouldn't do that though. So like, to be true to that, he's not going to be like, let's go, like, you know, do some bad stuff. So we'll see. But that was it was a good recording, and rip it all.
Rip it all. I think my favorite Roz answer is still like, I think it was very early on. It was about like, you know, what would you order for your date if you're like, what food would you order for your date if you're out? And Sam went just before me and he was like, yeah, no, I wouldn't order them anything. I'd order for myself because I'm enough of a snack. And then my answer was, I'd let my date pick for me straight afterwards. And there's just something, it's still one that still like makes me giggle every time I hear it, because there was like just the genuine laughter after. It was so good. There's some really good, I don't know if I ever had the time to do it, but there's some really good, I'd love to put all the Roz questions together, just hear them all back to back from each character, but that's a lot of work.
I'd even love like, you know, those like lyric posters where it's just like, it's a really nice design, but just down in tiny writing is just everyone's answer to every question. Yeah.
Because I wonder if I stayed on point with all of them as well, like thinking back to it.
Or like there's contradictions in there where you're like, you said like 5 episodes ago this was the thing, and now it's like, I mean, there's a contradiction every time I say AJ can't read. He can clearly read, but he can
clearly read. He chooses not to.
I like the joke. It's like, AJ can't read, but it's like his excuse.
She's here. She'll read for me.
Yeah, it is that. It's like, oh, I can't. Sorry, like I just don't want to. He gets bored. Do you think? I suppose it's a question for Declan, but what do you think our cold open mechanic might be for campaign 2?
Oh, yes, because that's all going to change. Oh, I'm not going to say anything that might give away some things that he's planning.
Fair.
If he's still going down that route, like the plans could change and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to give that away. Yes. Like where I think it might go based off of what he's kind of told us so far for what campaign 2 might be. Just in case it might be that, I'm not going to say. That's fair.
That's a very good thing to do.
But yeah, no, because I'd rather leave it, because just in case it's not and people get like, oh, that's a really good idea. I was like, yeah, I don't want people to get excited if it changes, because we're very much still like, when we're talking about campaign 2, I think it's like, for me anyway, the reason I'm kind of talking about it now is I've kind of got over the grief of the end of campaign 1. I know we're still recording tomorrow, but I've got over the grief of campaign 1 ending. So I'm like, now I'm ready and looking forward to the next thing. Because I was really worried for a while. I was like, will I ever get, like, because there's a long time of this recording season 3 where I was like, I don't want this story to end. I don't want this story to end. I really, like, why do we have to end at like season 3? I don't want it to end. I really don't want it to end. Whereas now I feel like, no, I'm ready.
I also have a feeling that like the world and the audience and fans of the show have only ever really seen one version of what we're like at the table together. But if you've seen a D8 Dungeon Drive, or if you've seen other stuff, there's the other side of that. Is like, Louise can be an argumentative, like poke, annoying, and I have a feeling I have no escape from that this time, that I'll just be like, this fucking, come on. Like, I have a feeling I'll just get bullied relentlessly by Louise's campaign 2 character in the best possible way. And with permission, you know.
And with permission, yes. Because it never got released, but I know Eilish and I did join Homebrew for a recording that didn't get released, but it was that. How long ago was that? It was like a year and a half ago or something.
Yeah, I'm like, again, the audio, like, I think it was the video for that isn't great. We're in, like, we rented a place that like a sort of holiday home place, high ceilings, bad audio, bad angles, all that kind of stuff. We need to get you both back up to
do that one. I really want to play that again. But I relentlessly bullied you.
Yeah.
It was like, I think there were certain points where I think Ben was actually annoyed with me.
No, never. I'm quite good at it's funny enough, because Keelan said the same thing to me the other day after we did our kind of like start of another homebrew, he was like, Ben, are you annoyed? I'm like, no. This is perfect. I'm quite good at like maintaining kayfabe, and I'm playing up annoyance.
Violet, you're brilliant with the dates. 2 years ago.
2 years ago. I mean, yeah, and that's one of those ones where we'll have to have you both back for as we once we get we're hesitant to bring any guests in while we're still like fucking around and trying to figure out how this works. But the moment we have a steady process, then it's like bring people up.
I still have that character sheet.
And we might even just move like we might keep the same DM, we might move systems, we might do whatever, but hopefully our next setup will be really easy to just do like a weekend record. So like these little one shots, these little kind of like 3-episode stories that we can just like bash out in a way that feels like that we can almost make them series in and of themselves, like Homebrew, do the traders. And it's like we fucking go off and do a TTR, that kind of thing. So we might do that, and we might do one long campaign that continues through the background. So it gives us opportunity to just like ping out to the TTRPG community in Ireland, like, who's friend?
Yeah.
And also a world in which like there's only one homebrew person there, or potentially two, because it's in Wes's house. So like if it's not just Wes, then it's like Wes and someone else. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. I don't know if there's anything. We kind of hit our hour-long stream mark, but when it comes to finales, any closing remarks?
I guess for anyone who's coming up to the end of a campaign, like someone has said to me recently, you don't want to keep reading the same book all the time without it ending. Mm-hmm. You would never read that book because like there is no ending to it. It's the same with like TV series that go on for way beyond what they should have. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Like if you're nervous about ending a campaign, that it's like, you know, there's a reason you're thinking about it, because it's the right point to bring this story to a close, and to not be afraid of that as a DM or a player, and then just look forward to the next one. Like grieve it, because like we all do. I did. But then like it doesn't mean that that's it. It's over. There's always going to be the next story that you get to tell together with your friends.
Yeah. That's lovely closing work. I won't add anything else to that. We will be back in Ben and Declan on a Roll. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time. I don't know what I think I lie. I think we're going to talk about the this kind of mini arc that's happening in Romancing the Dungeon. We're going to talk about the system that Declan is using. We might try get maybe a player on from that campaign just to kind of ask them about it if they're up for it. I don't know what our general plan is, but I think we're going to give a little sneak behind the screen, because the first episode of that will have come out. So I'll be able to interview Declan a little bit about what they were thinking and how they pulled together their plans. And then he might introduce some of the cast and players and all that kind of stuff.
Hopefully when we finish season 3, when you finally get to hear it, that we'll all come back together, the whole kit and caboodle.
Yes.
And have an online rap party or something like that.
For sure. All right, I'm going to have a quick look. We can go raid our friends at the Emerald Collective. But for now, that's Ben and Louise on a roll. Thank you so much for joining. That was such fun.
That was fun. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.